You want bulletin board material? Here's some. Why did the head coach of Oklahoma throw shade at the University of Miami?
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, your host, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and contributor to allhurricanes.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen today. For the everydayers, we're available free wherever you get your podcasts and available free on YouTube. So the head coach of Oklahoma is at Big 12 Media Days. He's doing interviews. So Brent Venables, he's on with Sirius XM College Sports Radio, and he's asked about his team going 6-7 last year. Here's his response. There's lots of ways you can be 6-7. None of it's any good, right? But had we gotten blown out by a Middle Tennessee, had we gotten beat by a Florida State 45-3, the conversation is probably a little bit different. I feel attacked here. Why is the head coach of Oklahoma, which is nowhere near South Florida, and nowhere near the same conference? I mean, they're in the Big 12, about to move to the SEC. Why is the head coach of Oklahoma going after Miami? I think I have an answer for that, but okay. The other part of it is, so he's going after Miami here on, the Middle Tennessee loss, which, by the way, is indefensible. I have no rebuttal for that. That never should have happened, and I wish I could forget that and unsee that game ever happening. But it's kind of interesting for Venables, who, by the way, remembered the very specific score, which goes to show you this is probably not the first time he's talked with someone about Miami losing to Florida State 45-3, because he didn't just remember they got blown out. He remembered the exact same score. So he's going to criticize Miami for losing to their biggest rival, getting blown out. He seems to remember that specific score pretty well in a game he had no involvement in. Did he somehow forget that time just a year ago, same season, when his Oklahoma Sooners against their biggest rivals, the Texas Longhorns, got blown out 49-0? Maybe he successfully erased that from his memory. Pot, meet kettle. You got Venables out there. Oh, at least we didn't get blown out 45-3 by a Florida State. Well, coach, you did get blown out 49-0 by Texas. Florida State had a better season. Wow. As far as why Venables would take shots, he does have history coaching against Miami, longtime Clemson defensive coordinator. I don't think that's why he's taking shots at Miami, though, right now. I would guess that the reason why the head coach at Oklahoma is taking shots at Miami and why he has that score memorized, because, again, it's probably not the first time he's thrown that stat out there that Miami got beaten 45-3 by Florida State. Miami and Oklahoma have, in this cycle and last cycle, been locked in a lot of recruiting battles against one another. And to give Oklahoma credit, they've been winning most of those battles, right? So listen, I'm not here to say things that are factually incorrect or conveniently forget important information, like the time Oklahoma got blown out 49-0 by Texas, which Venables seems to have forgotten here. I'm not misremembering that, right? Just in recent weeks, Miami and Oklahoma have gone head-to-head for four-star tight end Devon Mitchell. OU won that battle. Four-star linebacker James Nesta. OU won that battle. Just yesterday, Oklahoma won a big recruiting battle for four-star defensive tackle Jaden Jackson. So credit to them. But obviously, there's a lot of direct recruiting battles going on. And I think Venables might have given away part of his recruiting pitch. When we talk about negative recruiting, it happens a lot out there, where not only do you have to sell your own program, you also have to disparage other programs to make a player realize you don't want to go there. Like, we want you here. You definitely don't want to go there. So the fact that he's got that score line so conveniently memorized, I think he might have given away his anti-Miami recruiting pitch right there on national radio. Oh, well, hey, yeah, we didn't have a great year last year, but you're thinking of going to Miami. You saw them lose to Middle Tennessee, right? You saw them get blown out by Florida State, right? Probably conveniently forgets to mention the time he got blown out 49-0 by the Texas Longhorns, but it is what it is. And then not only, I mentioned recruiting battles that Oklahoma has won against Miami in this cycle because they've been kicking Miami's butts. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Butts, no pun intended. But he also might still be a little bit bitter about one that went against him in the last cycle. Safety Caleb Spencer, who's a show favorite of ours here on Locked On Canes, was an Oklahoma verbal commit until Miami flipped him last fall, and he's entering in the class of 2023. And I think Caleb Spencer has a very bright future at Miami. Maybe Venables didn't like the way that flip went down last year. So there's definitely some bad blood. But you know what? I point out some of Venables' hypocrisies, but I'm not upset about it. He didn't say anything that isn't factually correct. Miami did get blown out by Florida State. Miami did lose to Middle Tennessee, which is one of the most embarrassing losses in program history. I hope that when Mario Cristobal heard that, because it definitely got to him, it definitely got back to Miami and their staff. I hope that's some motivation. I'd like to think it's not a coincidence that Venables said what he said about Miami, and then several hours later, Miami lands their first 5-star verbal commitment of the cycle. Motivation, bulletin board material. You don't want other coaches out there talking smack about your program with impunity. Go out there, improve on the field, have a better season coming up, and make sure that you don't give guys like Venables the ammunition to go out there and talk the way he did about the U. I thought that was a shot below the belt there by Venables, but it is what it is, man. Hopefully this motivates Miami. And, obviously I mentioned a tough miss yesterday, not landing Jaden Jackson, who went to Oklahoma. But of course, Miami landed a big one last night in Josiah JoJo Trader, the 5-star wide receiver out of Chaminade Madonna, verbally committing to Miami. The only unfortunate thing about that is that wasn't a direct battle with Oklahoma. Miami beat the likes of Florida, Florida State, Ohio State. Oklahoma, I don't think, was really very much in the mix for him, but that was a huge get for Miami. And guys, stay tuned because I think we have an active weekend coming up in recruiting. So you're gonna wanna not make too many weekend plans, if you know what I mean. And guys, hopefully Miami's building a championship team here. And if you are talking about championship teams, right, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Guys, I want to send a huge shout out to everyone who tuned into this episode of Locked On Canes. Make sure you check out our Welcome to the U for JoJo Trader from earlier today. That's available on our audio feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course available on YouTube. And if you could take a couple seconds to subscribe to our YouTube channel, if you're a Miami Hurricanes football fan or a college football fan, hell, even if you're an Oklahoma fan and you want to argue with me about Brent Venables, subscribe to our channel, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like button. And we will talk to you guys again next time. Again, could be a busy weekend coming up. So buckle in. We will talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.